Peace, family. It's your brother Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School where we break down the most urgent conversations, the most pressing debates, the most controversial conversations in the world. And tonight is no different. I want to thank everybody for joining me here on the channel. Some of you joined me last night for office hours. We had a great conversation last night on office hours. I wasn't feeling well. And I woke up this morning feeling worse. So I will be quarantining in my crib for the next 5 days or so. But still want to give y'all some information. I still want y'all to want to give y'all some information. I wanted to break down a few things. We're not going to be long. But it's important, that we do this work every single day. I don't have the luxury of taking off because the world is on fire. We got a brother facing the death penalty. We have a full-out onslaught. That's the word I'm looking for, genocide taking place. And so against the backdrop of all of that, I can talk to y'all for just a few a few minutes. Jazz threatened to walk out. Jazz LP, Dallas's finest, threatened a walkout if I did the show, but I have to do the show just for a couple of minutes. We're gonna stay for like 15 minutes, and then we'll do it. Somebody said Hasna said one shot of NyQuil. Well, this ain't NyQuil, but I went into the basement to clear my sinuses up. I got some Honey Jack. I don't know if y'all know about Honey Jack, but it seems to do the trick. I got some OJ in my regular water. So hopefully between them three things, I'll be good. I'm gonna tell you something, man. My child has been home for 2 years, my infant. And I only got sick once, and that was a freak accident. You send your kids to daycare this year? My Lord. It's like night and day, bro. I'm already sick more in like 2 weeks. And I know that people always say that, and I've experienced it before, but oh Lord, man. Build the money starting the Marc Lamont Hill Health and Wellness Fund. I'm gonna be okay, y'all. I just need I'm gonna eat dinner. I'm going to eat. I've been sleeping most of the day and watching episodes of Grey's Anatomy, which actually terrifying, by the way, if you're sick. And I've been trapped in here with a 2-year-old because I don't want to be that parent that sends their kid to school knowing they might be sick. I gave my kid a COVID test. I gave my kid all the stuff. And he was sick over the weekend, sick last week, but he came up negative for everything. So in theory, I could have sent him to daycare, doing the shack, But something said, don't do it. Let me tell you something. A 2-year-old gets real healthy real fast. He whooped my ass for the last 12 hours. And I appreciate it. The love, not the ass whooping. Yes, Fisher Burton. Yes, Fisher Burton. Grey's Anatomy. I watched Grey's Anatomy. I started watching it in August. Excuse me, in April, maybe May. I don't know. And I am now on season 13. And each season is like 24 episodes. So you do the math, 12 times 25, and then I'm halfway through. So 12 and a half times 25 is how many episodes I've watched. I am a crazy person. I'm doing some light conversation right now. I'm gonna get to 3 stories and then we're gonna get out of here. But I wanted to talk to y'all. Somebody said they didn't want to see me in the Cedar talk. In fact, hearing excuses. I thought it was a good conversation. I pressed him pretty hard on the third party stuff, making a case. I'm making the case for why the third party makes sense and why it's not a waste even in this election. And this week later on, I'm going to have some guests on who are running for Senate is that Vermont? I can't remember. Definitely just somebody running for Senate in New Jersey under the Green Party. We're going to have them all on, so that's going to be a blessing. Somebody said, "Would love to see you in Ta-Nehisi Coates chop it up." I hope to do that. I'm hoping he comes to my bookstore in Philadelphia and we can record it. I'm also hoping to get him on Night School to really have a deep dive conversation about all of this stuff. Man, Ta-Nehisi is a genius, a brilliant writer, and I'd love to talk to him. yeah. Any questions y'all have, you can also bring up here, and I'll try and address at least a couple of them. Happy you didn't know. Yeah, people don't even take COVID tests anymore. They don't take flu tests anymore. They don't acknowledge their symptoms. They're like, look, I'm sending that kid to school. Um, Somebody said here, Jill Stein running again for Green Party makes no sense. I mean, there are some strategic conversations we can have about her running again, but let's be very clear. She was not planning to run again. Jill Stein moved out of the way. Cornel West took up that space and was supposed to be the nominee. And then at the last minute, their fallout created a situation where they had a week to keep the balance. They had a week to keep the nomination. And even then, according to Jill and Ajamu Baraka, they had a fight over who would do it. Jill was telling Ajamu to do it. Ajamu didn't want to do it. And so Jill was sort of drafted into it. And I think understanding that context, I think, is important. I just think it's important that Jill didn't just pop up and say, hey, let me run for Green Party again. It was very, very different than that. And I just think it's important to know that. People tell me Mucinex. What other home remedies y'all got? If you don't think my Jack Daniels, my Honey Jack is a good one. Wanda Chapman, I ain't seen your name in a minute, sister. Look at that beautiful picture. Why are you not in bed now? I've been awake all day chasing a 2-year-old. I put that 2-year-old down to bed at 8:30. So after a struggle. So I promise you, being up with y'all is like the best thing I've done all day. Believe me. Garlic and honey. Okay, well, I got the honey from the Honey Jack Omega, so I don't know if that counts. But the honey from the Honey Jack Daniels should do something. I've been doing the OJ. I need some ginger, maybe. Ginger I don't have. I'm gonna go to the juice press and get like them ginger bombs, the ginger, orange stuff, all that stuff. Man. All right, y'all. Haitian CWAP. I don't know what that is. I'm down for it. You just got to tell me what I'm taking so I know how to find it or how to produce it or or how to order it. Yo, keep me boy out there. Of course, a good job never hurt nobody. Just tell me. Just send me the info. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes, I will. Whatever it takes to get this healing done, man. You let me know. So much going on in the world, y'all. I'm gonna pick up on a story that I think is so important. And that is Israel's minister claims that Lebanon is not a state. Israel expanded its attacks on Lebanon today with airstrikes that killed at least 350 people, including women and children, and injured thousands of others. In the meantime, Israel's diaspora affairs minister is claiming that the IDF has the right to establish buffer zones and, quote unquote, take over parts of Lebanon. Why, you may ask? Well, he claims the Lebanese government is not fulfilling its definition of a state, and the IDF needs to protect Israeli citizens living in the north. But it doesn't stop there. The far-right minister added that both Syria and Iraq do not qualify as a state because different militias, foreign armies, and local military forces control different areas of each country. So there's a few layers here. I'm not going to get into all of them tonight. I'll get into them tomorrow. But fundamentally, this is part of a broader sort of historical and modern practice of Israel not recognizing the territorial integrity or the sovereignty of the nations in the Middle East, which is sort of ironic given the struggle to recognize Israel's existence that culminates in the 1967 war and the aftermath of the 1967 war with UN Resolution 242 and 338. And so at that moment, it's like, oh no, we got to recognize this territorial integrity. We got to recognize the right to exist, even though Israel does not have clearly established or definitively established borders. But now they're coming up with all of these different criteria for why Israel has the ability to assault Lebanon, and the primary one being that it's not a state, right? There's different militias, different foreign armies, local military forces controlling different areas of the country. Well, if I were to accept Israel's argument that all of Eretz Israel is theirs, right, which is the right wing Israeli argument, that's the mainstream at this point Zionist argument. That's the point of the nation state law. If I were to accept their argument that all of Eretz Israel, that is to say the West Bank, Gaza, the Golan, Sinai, if I didn't say Gaza, East Jerusalem, and Israel proper is theirs, then I could make the same argument. I could say area A is controlled by one person, area B is controlled by somebody else, sort of. Area C is definitely controlled by somebody else, and Gaza is controlled by Hamas. Israel's controlled. I could say Israel's not a state if I were going by that sloppy and floppy definition, but none of us would accept that criteria. And so why does Israel think it's okay to apply that criterion to Lebanon or to Syria or to Iraq? At some point, it just seems like whatever we have to say to make this work. And by this, I'm referring specifically to the imperial invasion of these countries, the occupation, all the things that are happening in the geographic and political Middle East, but specifically in the Levant, and more specifically at this point, in Lebanon. Although Syria is very close. So just something to think about as we talk. I appreciate y'all so much. I'm going to take. I got a couple more really quick points I want to make. Now I'm going to take my own advice, or take your advice. And get some rest. Because as I'm sitting here, I feel better talking to y'all, but I also feel like shit. So the other question is, can you just kill people because they aren't technically a state? No, you can't kill people because they're not a state. But the argument would be that as a non-state, there are different rules, right? There are rules of war, there are rules of engagement when you're engaging another nation state. But if you can frame it as just a vague, ambiguous plot of land, and these are militia forces, or these are insurgents, or these are whoever, they're not a foreign government, they're not a foreign military, then there's a different set of requirements for how you intervene, for how you interject, for how you attack, for how you protect, for how you warn, etc. So that's all. But let's keep pushing, y'all. We got just a couple more minutes, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I still kind of want to do a Gaza update later, but I know y'all gonna punch me in the face if I do that. So there's another story that I think is incredibly interesting and urgent that I want to talk to you all about, and that is Israel recruiting African refugees as human shields in the Gaza assault. Ethical concerns are being raised over reports that Israel is recruiting asylum seekers from Africa for life-threatening operations in Gaza. In exchange, Israel is promising permanent residency, but settled status won't be useful if you're dead. Sadly, some are asking, is that what Israel's counting on? According to Haaretz, none of the refugees who participated have been granted official status so far. There are about 30,000 asylum seekers in Israel, and many have already been used in various operations after a 2-week crash course in sort of how to invade, or really how to commit genocide. The manner in which the Israeli army deploys the asylum seekers is barred from publication by the Israeli military censor. Refugees continue to face mounting pressure from anti-immigrant politicians, including Netanyahu, who calls them infiltrators. Now let's talk about that for a minute. And I have a film coming out that spends a great deal of time dealing with this very question. But the long and short of it is, Israel is a Jewish state, and it allows immigration to said Jewish state for Jews around the world. So if you are an Ethiopian or a Jew from Ethiopia, if you're a member of the Beta Israel, not Falasha, but member of Beta Israel, you can make Aliyah now since the 80s, although there's all kinds of tensions and debates that we can talk about. But there are other Africans who are also struggling. I'll give you an example. Eritreans. I'll give you another example. Sudanese. And I've spent a great deal of time in Israel talking to Israelis and or Sudanese people in Israel, excuse me, and Eritreans in Israel, as well as Israelis about this. Um, and it's a very interesting set of circumstances. Prior to this Gaza genocide, I think maybe one, and that's dubious, but I think maybe one African asylum seeker was given asylum, was given residency. The rest of them, they they're not infiltrators, they're not undocumented, they're not illegal aliens, they're not any of these terms that the Israeli public and certainly the right wing Knesset has used against them. These people are walking through the Sinai. These people are walking, they're literally ducking bullets. They're going from Sudan or Eritrea into Egypt, and they're walking through the desert. They're walking through considerable danger. They're surrendering. They're getting captured, arrested, brought into Israel. And up until 20, maybe 18, I have to check the year, 20, maybe 2017, they were brought to a place called Halot, which was a detention center, or it was an absorption center. It was a holding center for asylum seekers or for immigrants. But they were kept there and it felt like prison. I spent time in Halot. I have footage, I have interviews, I have a lot of stuff from Halot that I can talk about. And when you go to Halot, you realize what they're basically doing is making Sudanese and Eritrean people feel like prisoners to hopefully send them home or send them elsewhere because they don't want to be seen as deserving of refugee status. Now you say, well, why aren't they getting refugee status? Well, because Israel doesn't want to. That's why Netanyahu has used the language of infiltrator to describe them rather than refugee, because there is a conventional refugees. There are international rules about refugees, especially for so-called Western nations, developed nations, etc. And Israel has said, yeah, we take refugees. But they don't, though. Because what they do is they make a distinction between refugees and infiltrators. And the language of infiltrator actually begins, I believe, in 1951. I'm sick, so I may be off, but I'm gonna double check. I usually don't like to double check things live because not because of ego, just because I like to be prepared. But I want to make sure. I said 1951. I'm sorry, 1954. The Prevention of Infiltration Law was a law created in 1954 to prevent unauthorized entry by armed and unarmed foreigners into Israel. Now, you might say, why would they create that in 1954? They created the Infiltrators Act to prevent Palestinians from coming home. So the Infiltrators Act was a direct attempt by Palestinians, by Israelis or by the Israeli state to prevent Palestinians from coming in. And so they said, oh, they're not refugees, because again, they wanted to nullify the UN High Court for Refugees. They wanted to nullify what would later be UNRWA. And so they ultimately said, no, these people are infiltrators. And so now that same law from 70 years ago is being used against these Africans. And so when you go to Halot, let me see if I have any images of me in Halot. I'd love to. Y'all want to see some? Maybe I'll show y'all a little sneak peek of some footage. Let me see. Let me see if I got something for y'all. I feel like since I'm sick, the least I can do is maybe show y'all a little something. No, I don't have anything ready. I thought I did. I think I do. I just don't know where it is. But either way, no, I do. I do. I do. I'll send it to y'all later. But I think it's kind of beautiful how sort of things are coming together and the world is paying attention to this awful tragedy right now of asylum seekers being exploited, being excluded, not being permitted to come into Israel. And then suddenly, Israel needs them. Suddenly, now that they need someone to do operations in Gaza, now they're acceptable. Now they're legible as citizens. Now they're permissible to come into the state. It's a fascinating circumstance, right? Why all of a sudden can these kids come in? Why all of a sudden can these young men and women come in and fight? It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. And we saw the same thing with the Hebrew Israelites. The Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem were rendered illegible as citizens. They were impossible citizens, as we talk about. And And then when their kids started joining the IDF, suddenly the kids could get citizenship, and then the parents could get citizenship based on the kids. And so suddenly it was like, if you're willing to risk your body, if you're willing to die for this ethno state, then yeah, we can talk. But that's not the same deal that other people have to make. Now, everyone, it's a conscription army, so you could argue everybody who's an Israeli citizen has to fight. But that's not a condition of making aliyah. That's not a condition for being legally permitted to make aliyah. I mean, come on now. It's different. I'm willing to have that debate. So we can talk about that. All right, y'all. Just one more issue that I have to talk about. Actually, two. Let's take a quick break, though. I'm gonna take just a quick break. Come back, catch my breath because I'm out of breath, and we'll talk in just a second about a brother that's facing the death penalty, and also y'all's president Donald Trump doing some wild shit. We'll talk about it on the other side. Peace. Peace, family. Welcome back to Night School. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is desperate. For the last 3 months, Donald Trump went from a can't miss, absolute lock to be president by defeating Joe Biden to being a very shaky candidate who's losing in key swing states and who is struggling to win. You can debate the differences or non-differences between Kamala and Biden. That's fine. You can argue that one is worse or better, that they're the same. That's fine. But the truth is, regardless, Kamala Harris has a better chance of winning than Donald Trump. And you know that because Donald Trump is getting pettier and more desperate as time goes on. And what he did most recently was release this yesterday on his Truth Social page, which you all know. I don't know if any of you actually subscribe to it, but what he did was he posted what you see here on the right, which is Kamala doing the Diddy. Madam Vice President, have you ever been involved in one of Puff Daddy's freak offs? Ignore all the bad spelling, all the bad punctuation. The argument here, of course, is that there's a photo of Diddy with Kamala, and at a moment where the whole world is paying attention to the quote-unquote freak-offs, Kamala got some explaining to do, except that she doesn't. Why? Because it's not true. Look on the left. Look on the left. We've seen that picture a million times. That's a picture of Kamala Harris and Montel Jordan from a gajillion years ago. And I believe that's Montel's daughter on his right arm. And they were out hanging out for whatever reason. Who cares? What's important is that someone decided to make a meme spreading disinformation about Kamala Harris being with Diddy. And then, of course, from there, you're forced to ask all these questions. Now, Donald Trump didn't make the meme. Donald Trump's not intelligent enough to make a meme. But Donald Trump did absolutely spread that. He reposted it. He wants his followers to believe that that's true. He wants his followers to believe that Kamala Harris is a sexual deviant, that she's involved in some kind of illegal activity or some kind of questionable activity. And those distinctions between what's immoral and what's illegal aren't really made among this crew, right? They see queer stuff happening. They see sexual freedom happening. And then they also see all these awful things that are happening allegedly at Diddy's house, the sexual violence, the human trafficking, all the things that have made Diddy a monster for 3 decades. And they're mixing it all together and they're throwing it at Kamala Harris. And what's sad is there's an idiot out there for whom this will work. There is a person who will say, well, she was caught with Diddy. And look, disinformation campaigns happen all the time. Misinformation campaigns happen all the time. We just got to fight and clean it up, no matter who you are. But the fact that a sitting or a former sitting president would spread something like this on social media, either intentionally or through his team, who would be doing it intentionally, is shameful. It also speaks to the very particular ways that women are assaulted, critiqued, marginalized, smeared in this political space. I mean, Donald Trump, no one doubts Donald Trump been to a Diddy freak off or Diddy party. Let's not call him everything. Everything ain't a freak off. Some stuff is just a party. But no one doubts that he's been there. No one doubts that Donald Trump is on tapes himself saying all the awful things he does. And we've seen Diddy on tape doing awful things. So those two aren't in question. We know they're awful. But why are we going to throw Kamala Harris in there? But the idea that Donald Trump, one of the awful people, can do that with no worry, it says a lot about his base. It says a lot about patriarchy. It says a lot about rape culture. It says a lot about all the awful things that we have to navigate in this society. So Donald Trump is absolutely shameful. I see someone writing, Kamala spread lies about mass rapes on October 7th. That's a lot worse. Sure. But why do we have to choose between those two things? I think we need to criticize Kamala for echoing long-standing and long debunked lies about the nature and scope of sexual violence that happened on October 7th. I think we have to absolutely do that. Kamala Harris is 100%, 1,000% wrong for that. But that doesn't mean that because she did something you disagree with, that it's okay to do something to her as long as it's less bad. I mean, that's stupid. Come on. Like, two things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. And I agree. I think Trump knows that there are folks who don't read research and are dumb. And a lot of those people wear big red hats. And yes, Nicole, Trump is the one with over a dozen sexual assault allegations, not Kamala Harris. So let's stay focused. Let's stay focused. Oh, my Lord, y'all. I'm going to take one more quick break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the death penalty. I'll see y'all in about 40 seconds. I apologize for the sudden breaks, but I feel like garbage, but I am thugging through. Not because I think y'all should, not to prove some macho thing. It's because these are stories that have to get told. It's that simple. Let's see you on the other side. Peace, family. I swear to God, the cough comes as soon as I'm saying welcome back. It's not on purpose. I think it's just because I go from silent to talking. But welcome back to night school, y'all. Again, sorry for being gross and sick. But it's absolutely necessary. Latest update. Marcellus Williams asks SCOTUS to stay his execution. For those that don't know, Marcellus Williams is scheduled to be executed tomorrow evening, in fact, in Missouri, despite the fact that there are serious doubts about the credibility of his conviction. Williams, who is 55, asked the Supreme Court, he asked the Supreme Court to stay his execution based on a newly disclosed admission from a prosecuting attorney named Wesley Bell. Bell confessed that he made a constitutional error in Williams' case by removing at least one Black prospective juror based on race. The other issue, Marcellus Williams' DNA is not on the murder weapon. Williams was convicted of killing former newspaper reporter Alicia Gale in 1998. She was stabbed more than 40 times during a burglary at her home. She was found by her husband later that night Police collected forensic evidence, including bloody shoe prints, fingerprints, and the suspect's hair. The investigation was going nowhere for about 9 months. And so the family offered a reward. And then in May of 1999, two informants told police that Williams was responsible. Now, he was never linked forensically to the crime. Still, the jury found him guilty. And today, the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office is backing Williams. They filed a motion to vacate the conviction, which was approved by the trial judge, but the motion was contested by the Attorney General. And there's been a lot of back and forth. Williams and his supporters are still hoping for a reprieve. And to be clear, he has always denied any involvement. I want to say a couple more things. Because the governor of Missouri today turned down a bid for clemency. The governor of Missouri could have given him clemency. He was scheduled to be executed this week for murder. And a short time later, the Missouri Supreme Court rejected his latest legal challenge. All of these things basically clear the way for an execution tomorrow night. The only thing that can stop it now, as I said before, is the Supreme Court. If not, he will be executed by lethal injection at 6 p.m. Central Time at the state prison in Bon Terre. Looking at the evidence, he seems to be factually innocent. Looking at the procedures and processes, he seems to be legally not guilty. So I'm saying he is both factually innocent, he didn't do it, and legally not guilty. But here's the thing, there's definitely reasonable doubt. Here's the thing, this country shouldn't be executing its citizens. We don't have the moral authority. We don't have the history to do that. Here's the thing, executions don't work. They don't stop people from getting murdered. The whole idea is that if we kill people, they'll stop other people from killing people. That doesn't work statistically. It's just not true. And of course, finally, and most importantly, in this case, we get it wrong. We get it wrong all the time. We get it wrong all the time. And there's no turning around if we get this wrong. I pray for this brother. I do. I pray for his peace. I pray for his safety. I pray for his family. But as our slave ancestors used to say, you got to pray while running. That means it ain't enough to just pray. We got to do more than that. We got to work. We got to struggle. We got to fight. So let's figure out what that looks like. Everybody should be writing to the governor, even though he's already said no. Everyone should be writing to the members of Congress, even though it seems like we're past that. All we can pray for is that the Supreme Court does something. I don't know if they will. I'm not optimistic, but I never give up. Why are they in such a hurry? They're not even saying just put him in jail for life. They're saying we have to kill this man. Oh, God. Karen D said, please call Missouri's governor's office to save Marcellus Williams before tomorrow at 6 p.m. Again, the governor can always make a different choice. Please, sir. Please, sir. Look at the evidence and make different choices. All right, y'all. That's it for night school tonight. I do want to answer just one more quick question, unless someone else has a question, a super chat question, which I will answer because I'm broke. But in seriousness, Bullet the Bunny asks, can you tell us what Professor Ware wanted to talk to you about after the interview? You want the so-called tea. I can't tell you all of it, but I can tell you he appreciated the interview. He was happy for the interview. He thought it was fair and good. And we had conversations about what the next phase of solidarity struggle could look like, what the next phase of political resistance could look like. It's like, what can we do as Green Party members to move this thing forward? And that's what we're talking about. And we're going to figure it out. One shot of NyQuil. I'm definitely going to take NyQuil. I appreciate y'all. Frederick Senkito said, great job. On a lighter note, what are the 5 best and worst moments for you as a Philadelphia sports fan involving your Philly teams? Ooh, that's a lot of answers. That's 10 answers. I can't do all that. Let me see. I can tell you the best. My best. I would start with um the Phillies winning the World Series. I was there. I know people want me to say the Eagles, but I didn't. I'm still boycotting the NFL, so I never watched the NFL. I never watched the Eagles win the Super Bowl until Colin Kaepernick had a job. I said I'm not watching. So, unless I don't know. Uh, the Sixers going to the NBA Finals and winning Game One was huge. That Allen Iverson step over of Tyronn Lue was classic. Um, the Sixers have been in a really terrible situation for years. We finally won a playoff series. Andre Iguodala switched to free throws, and I ran onto the court and hugged the players. I even hugged Ben Simmons, if I remember correctly. Was it Ben Simmons? Or was it Jahlil Okafor? I forget, but whoever it was, I don't think it was Ben Simmons, but whoever it was. I've been down there for a long time, but I ran on the court, hugged the players, jumped around. It was crazy. It was a different time. Those would be three of my top. Really, I mean, I feel like the Eagles Super Bowl should be one. I'll say the Eagles Super Bowl, even though I didn't watch it because I was in the other room reading, and I started hearing gunshots. And growing up in Philly, you know the difference between good gunshots and bad gunshots. These were good gunshots, and I knew it, so I'll take that anyway. And then la última. Después está. 5 best moments. Oh, I may even take that one back, but I'll just say the draft. Drafting, I was very excited when we drafted Eric Lindros. Drafting Eric Lindros, um, it was a signal that the Flyers were about to have a whole different life. And we did, right? I mean, the Flyers suddenly were a competitor. We never won a Stanley Cup, but we were competitive for years. Even that year where we were up 3-1 to the Devils. Oof. But yeah, I think those would be the best ones. The worst ones, Kawhi Leonard hitting that shot that bounced around and put us out of the playoffs. Mitch Wild thing, Williams giving up that home run to Joe Carter in the '92 World Series. Yeah. Worst. Trading Charles Barkley for Andrew Lang, Tim Perry, and Jeff Hornacek. Worst moments. Worst moments. Gave you a baseball one. I gave you a hockey one. I didn't give you a hockey one. I gave you a football one. These trades are often so bad. Worst moments for me was Terrell Owens leaving. Terrell Owens injury. The whole Terrell Owens 2005 season was just awful. And what's the last one? It's a good one. I'm okay, y'all. By the way, I'm not like about to die or anything. I'm actually awake. I'm fully awake. I'm just not feeling great. ¿Qué más? Había otra. There's one more. Worst moments of the Philly sports fan. Them losses. We just lost so much, you know. Would it be a Phillies loss? I gave you 92. I didn't feel as bad with the Yankees 09. I'll say in retrospect, trading a lottery pick and the number 3 pick for Markelle Fultz and not getting Jason Tatum. Yeah, that was wild. ¿Hay otra pregunta? Hasna, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Rachel, thank you so much. Buy yourself a big hunk of ginger. That's real. That's real. Any other questions? The command S in there. That's what we say in Arabic. The update. عنكم سؤال أكتر. Okay, yeah, now y'all gonna be now. Oh man, y'all tough. I love y'all. You know why I love y'all? Because y'all like, look, we're gonna make him go to bed. We're gonna ask him no. I'm sitting there saying, ask me whatever, and y'all like, no. I'm gonna take that as love. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go. Um, so I was thinking about this one, Antoine Foster. So drafting JD Drew was one of my favorite moments. People pelting him with batteries. Um, yeah, that's not a bad moment as a Philadelphia fan. I'm sorry. You're not a Philadelphia if you think we're upset about throwing batteries at JD Drew. I'm not saying we should, but we definitely don't feel bad about it. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go to bed. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the subscribe. I don't have time to go through the whole spiel, but just please do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you feel like hitting the join button, please do. Become a member. It helps. If I had more members, I probably wouldn't have to be up here with COVID talking for money. But in the meantime, family, make a donation. Like they said, if y'all want me to stop yapping, just make the donation here instead of a super chat. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Man, if everybody watching right now would have dropped $10 in, I could actually rest for the week, which would help us because we'd meet our financial goals for the month. If everybody watching right now were to drop $10 in on Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, I could literally rest up and not work and pay our bills and take care of staff and invest in the future. So please consider it, y'all. Please, 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 please consider dropping something in. If you don't have $10, it's okay. Drop $1, drop $2, drop $3, drop $1,000,000, drop $1,000. All of it matters. All of it helps, y'all. I'm doing this on the muscle. I ain't got no support other than the paid help, who are amazing. I have an amazing staff. I have an amazing team. And they deserve to be paid. And so I pay them. Your support helps that happen. If everybody gives something, if everybody gives a little, nobody has to give a lot. Dougie Fresh told me that last year, randomly. I found it quite helpful. Anyway, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow, or inshallah when I feel better. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.